So today we're going to make a fire pot. I got my tools here, I got the steel in the back, I got some plans right here, and we'll get started. So this is my first time welding. I'm not actually going to show a lot of clips about this. I make it a habit not to record any of my first times. It's not a huge deal, I just, I get kind of embarrassed, I don't really know what to do. Anyway, let's get to the plans and we'll start building this thing. So I based these plans off the ones you can find at blacksmith.com. It's spelled out any of the vowels. They have a great guide on how to build your own welded fire pot, and I basically based this around that. The main fire pot is based off of these four kind of trapezoidal plates. The whole thing is going to be about 4.5 inches deep. It ends up being a little less than that just because of the thickness of the plate. And then about 13 by 9. I did make one mistake, and I'm going to point that out later in the video when I cut these out. You're going to want to avoid that when you actually cut out yours if you decide to do the same thing. The tweer here is basically just 2 pieces of 3-inch inner diameter Schedule 40 pipe. You can get it at any steel supply. I ended up picking up both the 1/4-inch plate, I got a 2x2 section, and the pipe. I got about 14 inches for about $50. So you can make this pretty cheap if you know how to weld, which I didn't. The ash dump is basically just going to be a little piece that I cobbled together. Basically a little hinge. I'm going to probably weld a bolt onto the bottom, and then take a piece of sheet metal and put that on with a handle that can kind of rotate the whole apparatus. You'll see that later. And up here, this will probably be its own video. This is just my design for a table that it'll sit in, so I can mount coal up here and sort of feed the fire. Now, the reason I'm building this is because my old fire pot, and I'll roll in a picture of that right now, is just a car wheel that I salvaged, and I filled it with a mixture of cat litter and sand. And it works okay. You can light 8 or 10 pieces of coal. The only problem is your fire burns out really quick. You're constantly adding coal, and the coal doesn't have time to coke over before it can actually burn. So you're actually trying to burn coal, which if you've ever done that before, it throws little shrapnel pieces of coal all over you, and it burns up your arms and stuff. And the fire just doesn't burn very well. It tends to clinker up really quickly. Anyway, so I got my pieces all tacked together, and I'm going to go show you that now. And then after that, I'll do some welding alone, and then we'll work on building the ash dump, and we'll see how it turns out. So I cut all these pieces out of 1/4-inch plate for the sides and the bottom, and Schedule 40 pipe, inner diameter of about 3 inches for the tweer. So the way this goes together is this bottom plate goes in the bottom, and this has a hole cut out for it. I haven't done that yet. That will fit the tweer, right? So the blower comes in on this end, air will go out, and then if the ash dump is all closed up, the air will just go up and into the fire pot and feed my coals. I'm going to cut this out with my angle grinder. That should take forever and a day. So after this is all cut out, I'll tack this bottom part to the inside of the fire pot, and then we'll weld the whole thing together, and we'll see how that goes.
So you can see these are my welds. They turned out okay. Like I said, this is my first time. There's the tweer. I left the welds in the bottom a little scabby. You can see here that I made a mistake when I cut the plate. I actually cut the shorter sides too short, so they end up being 1/2 inch below the surface of the fire pot. I'll have to fix that next video. And these are just some of the tools I used. I used the files for a hand finish. A single guy my age is used to hand finishing, so this didn't take too long. This is just a rough fit up of how the ducting will go together. I put one end into a makeshift air valve that I made out of a coffee can, and then I have a PVC flange that I used to fit against the tweer. The fit up is actually pretty good. I had to chamfer the edge of the tweer, but I ended up getting a pretty airtight seal there. I was happy about it. I had to give the ash dump several tries. What I ended up coming up with was just welding a 3/8 bolt to the side on the bottom of the tweer. And then I bent up this little piece of sheet metal that I had to weld together out of 2 pieces. It's just what I had. That has a little hinge over it, and it fits right over the top. I put a nylon nut on the outside, and that basically allows me to adjust the tension and keep it there so that the nut won't back off after I open and close the ash dump over time. And I cut a notch there that just allows the head of the bolt to slide past. This is how I tuned the ash dump. I tightened the nut until the ash dump door wouldn't close, and then I just took a socket wrench and loosened it until it fell shut on its own. I'm not overly concerned about the gap you see there. Most of the air should stay inside, and the ashes should, block themselves up and create a seal. Here's the final product all hooked up for a trial burn. I'm just going to burn a little bit of coal in here to make sure it works. I didn't weld these pieces of bar in place. They're just to hold the coals in temporarily. So this is what I've got after the burn. I got everything inside to a welding heat and never really noticed any distortion on the welds or any scaling. The ash dump works pretty well. It creates a seal at the bottom like I thought it would. That's about it. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. If you have any ideas for projects I can do in the future, or improvements I can make to the quality of the videos or the projects themselves, I'd love to hear it. So I'll see you in the next one.